This is the Housing Committee for the great city of Los Angeles, Wednesday, February 26, 2020. We are gathered here at City Hall, room 1010, 3 p.m. I'm joined by my colleagues, the Honorables, Councilmember Paul Krikorian and the Honorable Marquise Harris Dawson. We have 5 items today, and then we will close and convene a special agenda. We have a consent on all items, so this will move quickly. We do have public comment. I'm going to call up Patricia McAllister. You will have 1 minute for public comment and then 2 additional minutes for additional commentary. Susan Hunter, you get 1 minute. Lois D. Armand, 1 minute. Teresa Martinez, 1 minute. And Claude Cruz, 1 minute. So please come up in that order.
Okay.
So Flora and Teresa need an additional minute for interpretation.
Thank you. You have an interpreter? Okay.
Here. You ready? Ms. McAllister? Are you ready, Ms. McAllister?
Okay, yes. All right, so here I'm looking at number 1, this RFQ for the Accessible Housing Program, authorization to enter into a contract with selected general contractors. Okay, just like to see who they are. It'd be good to have them listed here. Now, the Los Angeles Homeless and Community Investment Department, this is their report. And we'd like to see who the contractors are, because just like with the banking, the finance committee, I mean, I don't know how they pick banks, but they picked one bank that's getting ready, that's being investigated by the feds, Bank of America, for doing what Wells Fargo did, creating fake accounts, and they chose them, along with another, Chase. We don't need 2 banks. That's just like me having 2 banks and I'm being charged twice, and they allow them to charge us fees. They don't charge millionaires fees. We have trillions of dollars coming through the bank, so they use our money for investments. Banks don't charge fees for that, so something's going on here. We're going to deal with that. But anyway, we need toilets. They had the mayor online, a video yesterday. We have 14 toilets in Los Angeles. Would you believe that? And they take them out at night because they don't want them in there, using drugs and whatnot. But they're supposed to hire personnel to watch. 14, and you guys claim we have 63,000 homeless. I say it's 100,000 because you cannot count the ones in their automobiles. Hundreds of thousands probably. You just could never count that. So we need toilets. So this money that you're using for the foreclosure registry program, I was in the meeting about 3 years ago when you created this foreclosure registry program, and you were going to give a clerk typist $100,000. Yes, sir. I was in the meeting. I blew the meeting up. I said, what? And guess who did it? Weezaw. He finally got caught. See, all that corruption, it catches up with you eventually. $100,000 to a clerk typist. I was there when this registry was created. You shouldn't be taking money out of that for purchase assistance purposes. We need the toilets. And the reporter asked Garcetti, he interviewed him, he said, you only have 14 toilets in the city? He said, why? Garcetti said, we don't have the money. Come on. That $1.2 billion, were you allowing developers to charge $300,000 to build a studio? You know how small studios are? You takes 10 steps into your apartment, you're at the window, from the door. Okay, that's how small they are, some of them. They're very small. They laugh because some people know that. $300,000, so you just threw away that money. We need the toilets. Now, they got a video, and they told us, beware, it's graphic. Man pulled down his pants, beautiful office building, and squatted and pooped right on the steps. Ladies, they were so angry, they said, why don't you give them toilets? Even the people are saying, give them toilets and have people to monitor them at night. Keep them there also. You guys are really looking bad. Now, the buses, you complaining about the bus tours. You know where people are coming here? Trump has been telling them, they want to see what Los Angeles looked like, how messed up it is. Do I get my minute now?
That was
3? Okay, thanks.
This is one of those very rare occasions where there is no disagreement with you. The
Chair is in agreement with you today.
No. I don't want to overstate that. Ms. Hunter, welcome back.
Thank you. Susan Hunter, Los Angeles Tenants Union, Hollywood Local Caseworker. So today was supposed to have been agendized for Rue's Ellis reform motion because we have too many landlords abusing the state law. We do have ways of addressing that in the city so we can have more enforcement to protect people from these abuses and keep them in their housing. But we can't do that if we can't get it out of committee. So we are still waiting on the report back. We continue to have this problem where we come up and craft amazing legislation, multiple people working together, try and make this legislation feasible, and it goes into housing for a report back and it just stays there. And we can't keep doing this. So we have to do something to actually move these report backs forward and get these things out of committee. We have tenants who are here today on a separate issue.
Chair also agrees with you, so a lot of agreement here. Go ahead.
So we have tenants who, because we do not cover things such as parking or storage utilities under the RSO, once their leases, the 1 year has gone up, the landlord turns around and starts charging them $175 a month for parking. So we are asking that RSO be expanded to include parking, storage, and utilities so we can stop price gouging tenants. Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Lois DeArmond, caseworker for Mid-City LA Tenants Union. I'm here today to protest the removal of Councilman Riu's motion for Ellis reform from the agenda and to request that it be put back on the agenda for your next meeting. Every week in LA, scores more tenants are receiving 60 and 120-day notices to vacate their apartments for no fault of their own, but for the profit of developers. People's lives are being destroyed. Our neighborhoods are being destroyed beyond all recognition. In my area of Mid-City alone, 5 buildings are being Ellised, almost 200 people. We cannot go on waiting for housing reform because HCID is too busy to deal with it. This goes for the tenant anti-harassment ordinance as well, languishing at HCID or finance for almost a year. We've been patient, but our patience is at an end. Citizens of LA demand immediate action on these urgent matters. People are suffering, and you can help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Teresa. Pues yo vengo a pedirles por favor que si en su manos está ponerle un alto a los dueños porque nos están hostigando demasiado. Soy una afectada de acoso a los managers y el mismo dueño con altas cantidades como $300, cosa que pues ganando el sueldo mínimo no podemos pagar apartamentos muy caros, también que nos remueven los parkings y eso es algo que pues no está en nuestras manos pagar $300 de un parking, ¿no? Como ellos nos lo requieren.
Good afternoon. My name is Teresa. I am here on behalf of myself talking about how the property managers and the landlords are harassing and bullying and on top of that raising prices on utilities that should have been part of the lease agreement up to $300.
Pues si ustedes pueden tener ese control, por favor ayúdenos, porque si se dan cuenta hay demasiados homeless. ¿Por qué? Porque los dueños los sacan, porque ellos no pueden pagar un apartamento de $1,000 de una recámara y eso es algo inhumano, ¿verdad? Queremos que por favor pongan alto a todas esas exigencias de esos dueños malos que tratan a la gente como si... o sea, ellos quieren hacer negocio, pero nosotros como una basura, ¿verdad? Y hay, si se dan cuenta, mucho hombre, demasiado hombre.
Perdón.
Okay. So if you guys can help me out, I would really like you guys to really understand with on minimum wage, we can't afford things like this. The harassment needs to stop. The abuse of increments in rent, and with minimum wage, that's something that ends up resulting in homelessness. We can't do this thing. We can't keep having landlords and property managers abusing of others with their power.
Gracias.
Mi nombre es Flor Cruz, tengo 21 años viviendo en el mismo edificio del mismo dueño. En la calle donde yo estoy son 4 edificios y el dueño o los trabajadores es lo que hacen. Me quitaron el parking hace como 6 años. Yo he estado por 21 años ahí y
My name is Flor Cruz. My name is Flor Cruz. I've been living in the same apartment for over 21 years. About 6 years ago, they took away my parking space.
y quieren que yo pague $150. Los nuevos también les dicen que con parking y con el contrato, y luego al año se los quitan, y por eso la gente también se va, porque quieren cobrar diferentes precios al parking. Y los que no viven en mi edificio se vienen a parquear allá. A mí no se me hace justo eso, porque yo pertenezco a ese edificio y no tengo espacio para mi carro. Me tengo que parquearme como 3 cuadras y de noche. Es injusto pues lo que hacen, que nos acosan. Vive un señor 3, 4 de la mañana, hace ruido, tiene perro, lo deja suelto, popó en el pasillo. Eso es injusto pues.
It's unjust that they're asking for $150 for a parking space that I didn't have to pay for before, and on top of that, I don't always get access to that space. There are other people who now just come and visit and will take over those spaces, and it's unjust that I have to go pay for that, and other people get to use it. There will be also harassment from the property managers, from the landlords. 3, 4 in the morning, they'll be having their dogs and making it a very loud fuss, and it's just unjust.
Thank you. Right, Matt Callahan?
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Callahan. I'm with Los Angeles Partners in Homeownership. We're an all-volunteer nonprofit organization that focuses on helping low-income families purchase a home in the city of Los Angeles. And I'm here on item number 3, having to do with the city's mortgage credit certificate program. This is a very powerful program that somewhat complex and difficult to understand, but it's sort of the yeast in the dough that really makes transactions work for low-income families. It's a federal program allocated through the state Debt Limit Allocation Committee. Last week, mid-January, they made an announcement in a very private, undisclosed meeting where stakeholders weren't invited, that the mortgage credit certificate program was being defunded this year. That's a huge blow to low-income home buyers. It was done without any discussion, any involvement from stakeholders. And so while we support this strongly, the city's application on item number 3, there's a larger issue that I think the council needs to take up, and that is getting this reinstated at the state level. I prepared some background information I could leave with the clerk, along with the draft resolution that perhaps Councilman Cedillo could introduce.
Is it a state program, but the source of revenue comes from the feds?
It's a federal tax credit allocated through the California Debt Limit Allocation Committee. And it's a super powerful, super important program.
Mr. Trump. Thank you.
All right. Could I leave this with the clerk?
Please. Okay, colleagues, I believe we have items 1 through 5 on consent without objection.
Councilman, just for clarification on item 1, we did receive the CAO report, and also there is a time limit on this one, April 13th, and lastly for council action is April the 8th. That's for the record. On item number 2, we do not have the CAO report on the council file, so we do need the CAO to read the recommendations into the record for item
Yes.
number 2.
Good afternoon. Emily Zen Cervantes with the Office of the CAO. I'm going to read the CAO recommendations into the record. In general,
And I'm sorry, did the committee vote to support the CAO report on item number 1?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We're prepared to do consent. Of course, we have these matters that need to be read in as a matter of record. I would note that we are ready to move forward. Public comment is closed for the matter, and we're moving with our votes, so please go forward.
okay. I'm going to read the recommendations of the CAO report into the record, and they are that the council, subject to the approval of the mayor, 1, adopt recommendations A 1 through 6 of the Housing and Community Investment Department transmittal dated January 22nd, 2020, relative to implementing the U.S. Housing and Urban Development 2019 lead-based paint hazard reduction program grant. 2, authorize the general manager of HCID or designee to A, release a request for proposals in substantial conformance with attachment to the HCID report to select contractors for the provision of lead hazard remediation program, outreach, education, enrollment, and training services, subject to the review and approval of the city attorney as to form, assessment of the qualifications submitted, and returned to the mayor and city council with contractor recommendations, funding levels, and controller instructions. B, execute a First Amendment to contracts with the 5 organizations listed in the CAO report that was provided in this meeting in substantial conformance with the draft amendments attached to HCID's report to increase compensations in the amounts in the table in the CAO report, subject to review and approval of the city attorney as to form and legality, compliance with the city's contractor requirements, compliance with the federal requirements, contractor performance reviews, and funding availability. C, prepare control structures and any technical adjustments consistent with the mayor and council actions related to this matter, subject to the approval of the city administrative officer. 3, authorize by resolution the employment of the following 5 positions within HCID to implement the program for a grant for the period March 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2020, subject to allocation by the Civil Service Commission and pay grade determination by the City Administrative Officer's Employee Relations Division, and that's 2 Rehabilitation Construction Specialist 1s, Class Code 1569-1, 1 Project Coordinator, Class Code 1537, 1 Project Assistant, Class Code 1542, and 1 Administrative Clerk, Class Code 1358. And 4, authorize the positions described in the last recommendation as exempt from the civil service provisions of the city charter pursuant to city charter section 1001D4 based on the positions being grant funded for a term of no more than 2 years, which may be extended for an additional year for a maximum exemption period for 3 years.
As recorded.
Thank you.
Any other items on 1 through 5 that require reconciliations?
Those were the only items where we needed the CAO to read the recommendations.
Okay. Items 1 through 5 are dispensed with. Move to adjourn.
In the committee, adopted the CAO report on 1, 2, and 3, and approved the 2 motions.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes our business with respect to items 1 through 5. We're now moving, we will adjourn and then move on to a special order of business. Let me convene the special meeting of the Housing Committee. We don't have public comment, right, on the special committee? Ah, 1 minute each. So I am prepared to call item 1, HCID report back on the 45th year CDBG expenditures and revisions to the consolidated annual action plan budget. Before that, I have speakers list. On the subject matter, Patricia McAllister, Edna Monroy, and Ralph Jean. Not present. Last call. May I have the HSID come to the table, give us an overview on the con plan, the consolidated plan?
Hello, sorry about that. I am Julie O'Leary with the Consolidated Planning Division of Housing Community Investment Department. So today we have the reprogramming report for you for your approval. The majority of it addresses community development block grant. Some of the changed requests are as a result of program income changes. Last year we received a little under $2 million less than what was projected, and we're recommending what's basically an administrative move in order to move from the Pio Pico Library Pocket Park that was funded in $4 million last year. It hasn't started yet, and we're just requesting that $2 million of those funds be moved to this year, maintaining the $4 million funding. The reduction in program income is also projected for this year as well, based on our current rate of receiving the funding. So that affects things in a couple different ways. The one that is first stressed in the report is a reduction to the public service cap of $77,000. But while meeting with staff from the various departments, we were also looking at the progress on the Children's Savings and Eviction Defense Program. And as far as how much will be spent with hiring and everything, that those projects are all started, but there is savings, and so recommending moving some of those funds to some other existing, mostly to some other existing public service projects that, for example, within the aging service delivery to provide some funds for equipment for things that they would need and be able to purchase before the end of the program year. There is one new project recommended there, the $30,000 for the Family Source Targeted Homeless Intervention Pilot. That would be funding for a Family Source Center to focus on families with children who are living in hotels on Sepulveda Boulevard and attending LAUSD, so to provide some case management services and improve the coordination on that. Also, as a result of reductions for this year, it is reducing our administrative cap for this year as well. And so we have some recommendations for the departments that receive the funds, including a number that are funded through the Housing and Community Investment Department, to reduce some funding there as well. We do hope that program income for this year will increase when we look at the end of the year and before the end of the year, and so we'll plan on bringing a report back to council on the status of the program income and if we're able to reverse some of those reductions, particularly for the administrative costs. In the fall, we met with various city departments and city council offices that receive CDBG, and it's an annual exercise. We also try to do it more frequently during the year when possible, but identified savings. So this report also identifies recommendations for economic development and neighborhood improvement projects, most of which have received CDBG, and this is to help give them additional funding in order to meet a national objective. There is one difference to that. There was in prior city council action, I believe in 2012, there was $376,000 that the city council had approved to move from the Parks First Trust to CDBG to partially reimburse for the East Hollywood Garden and Achievement Center. So this report is also recommending then that the funding go toward the domestic violence shelter in CD4. Apparently, the original council action, and because of the area that it covers for the trust fund, it has to be dedicated to either Council District 4 or 13. So this one is within Council District 4. The report also addresses program income and reductions for the Home Investment Partnership Program, and unfortunately a reduction to the administrative cap for that as well. So the report recommends the reduction to Housing and Community Investment Department's admin line item, and then also the line item that has the bulk of the home funds, the affordable housing managed pipeline and program delivery. And then finally, it has recommendations for moving some funding within HOPWA from prior years and line items to two projects for this year as well.
Questions? Okay. The recommendations are moved and adopted without objection. I believe that clears the desk. Is that correct?
That's correct.
A motion to adjourn without objection. Thank you, everybody.